come with a. What's the conversation like in terms of Joe's interim status, and will he remain interim all year until everything is situated? How does that situation go?
We haven't really even talked about it recently. Our focus has been on how to make this team and staff and give everything we need to make sure we're as good as we can be. He's running the show. Title is the title, but and we'll have updates at a later date on all that other stuff. But he's doing a good job, and he's running it like the head coach runs it.
What advice do you give him about the roller coaster that the year can be?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I think that one of the things that you have the benefit of in the seat I'm in now is getting a much more macro view of everything, and I just think that when you're in it, every play sits with you. Every moment of a game sits with you. The losses sit with you in a big way. You rehash all of those singular moments, and to be able to then look at a film objectively and kind of take the emotion out of it. It's tough. I mean, and that's why coaching in any league or any level is hard. But coaching in the NBA with 82 games and inevitable ups and downs is a really challenging job. So I want him to know. I want our staff to know that I get it. I've lived it. And when you have a 3-game blip like we have right now, where we haven't played very well, or a 2-week deal where we haven't played very well, I've seen a lot of good to great teams do that. And so the key is how do you respond to that, and how do you, as a staff, maintain the right approach as you're trying to make small tweaks and fix it.
In your view, is there a reason why you hit a little bit of a rough patch?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the easiest thing in the world to do is point to shooting variance, and I don't look at the game that way. I think it's we've got to find a way, as a team to improve, because as the year goes on, right? If you stop trying to improve, that's the day you stop being good, right? And if you don't continuously get better, it's just so easy to get caught. And so we've got to improve on both ends. We've done a better job defensively. I think we've added, quite a bit of options from a coverage standpoint, which I think has been a real positive, and may come with some growing pains in the near term, but is really, really important as you get later on in the year. And then offensively, I just think we've got to do our best to generate easier shots, right? And I'm not saying like the wide open catch and shoot threes. We'll take those all day long, but there are ways to, without making it more difficult on ourselves, to get another layup a half. And really, that's usually what it boils down to, right? And so this isn't rocket science, but I think that from my perspective, the last 2 weeks we've looked a little bit more, we just look like we're in a little bit of a rut, and so we just need to play ourselves out of that, and make sure we don't have halves like we had the other night. That first half, that was a rough one.
I know you guys are very excited about bringing Malcolm in this offseason. Just what are your thoughts on his impact so far through the first season?
Yeah, Malcolm's been great. I have appreciated from day one his willingness to come off the bench, and not only his willingness, but embracing that, and coming in and doing what he does. Even in some of our losses, I've left really encouraged because of what he was able to provide for us when we were really struggling, and it just adds another dimension to us, I think. I think he's learning our defensive system, which is a little bit unique to maybe what he's played the majority of his career. But he's really smart, and that is something that will be easy for him, and then his ability to get into the paint. I mean, we need it. I just talked about easy baskets. We haven't been the best offensive rebounding team in the world. We haven't been great at turning people over yet this year, so we're not getting runouts, and we got to get some shots at the rim and some drives to get to the free throw line, and he's one of our better guys at doing that. So I'd say all in all, it's been really good. But he's really embraced being here, embraced what it means to be a Celtic, to play for a good team, and he's excited about it.
Brad, straight deadlines in less than 2 months. Will you be open to adding to this roster or giving this roster whatever it needs to compete for a championship?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's my job. You know, I'm going to let when I was coaching, I always told the guys, like, let the game tell you what to do. I'm going to let the game tell us what to do over the next couple months, right? Like, just like any other thing, I've got to be able to take a step back. I've got to be able to sift through what's a blip and what's real. But yeah, listen, we want to win. Like, there's no question about it. We have a really good team, and hopefully we are playing great over the next couple months. But we'll evaluate that, and we'll make the decisions that, right or wrong, we think may give us the best chance of winning.
I know you said Joe's running the show, but you're a pretty valuable resource to have in your position. What kind of conversations are you guys having? How often do you talk?
I mean, talk every day, but that's no different than I think any other GM-coach relationship. I think that, I'm the same way I was last year. Not in every meeting, not in the film sessions. I'm at most practices, but not every practice. I'm doing the college scouting too, and doing all that stuff. I watch the game with a close eye, but I also understand that you have a million voices coming at you. It's hard. It's funny when I've coached for 8 years in the NBA, so even if I said something to one of our guys that was counter or a little bit off message, because I wasn't in the meeting and that's not what's being emphasized, and I'm no different than somebody on Twitter. It's like I'm just noise, and so I think you have to respect that like how hard it is to coach. And so I hope that he looks at it as just small observations and support. And that's what I'm here to do.
Joe kind of got thrown into this right before training camp as head coach. How do you view and evaluate the job he's done so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. You're always, every 20 games you coach in the NBA, you double, like, you're just getting better and better and better. And just even like looking at where we started from the start of training camp, the leadership, the organization, the way that everybody embraced him, he embraces everybody else. He's very open to people, to the different ideas that they have. Maybe too open, right? At sometimes, right? Like because there's a million of them coming in at once. But he's been great, and his staff's been great. I think that's something that probably doesn't get talked about enough. I think that that was a unique thing for everybody, and the staff just came in and have done their job in adding to winning, and that's what we all have to do. Everybody in this building has a role. We all have to play it as well as we can to give ourselves a chance to win.
You said you have to decide what's a blip and what's real. How do you take a bird's eye view approach of what's going on, including the hot start, dealing without Rob, all the things that have gone on so far this season, where you guys are?
Well, I guess that's the benefit of being a coach. Whenever you have a hot start, you're just like, oh God, like this is, it's just like being up 20 in the first quarter, right? It is just part of it, right? There are ups and downs throughout a year. I think we've shown ourselves to be a very capable team. I think we're at our very best when the ball is flying around, which is not a surprise, and when we're really locked in and active into the ball on defense. And you can see that. I mean, you saw that the other day in the second half where we looked like, and rightfully so, we needed to play with a sense of urgency because we were put ourselves in such a bind. But I think that ultimately, like, that's the way we can look and we can be really good. And the key is as you go through the down times, not to get down on yourself, not to lose confidence, and to just kind of recenter and say, this is how we're good, this is what makes us good, and go from there. And then, if we can't do that, then, we maybe look for tweaks that, hopefully, give our roster a better chance to maximize itself.
Joe's really talked about like trusting the team. It's the players' team. Doing things like not calling timeouts, letting them solve themselves out there. That obviously works really well with his role. When you play threats, like how do you see as a former coach how he has to kind of adjust to prevent the ball?
Yeah, I mean, he'll learn all that. Listen, you only get so many a game, and you're going to save 2 for the end of the game, or you're probably down 40, right? So like, ultimately, the other night we weren't going to win that game, or we weren't going to not be down a lot at halftime because of the timeout that was called. Right, it was about, we gave up way too many layups, it was way too easy, all that stuff, and everybody knows that, right? And so he's going to learn how he wants to best manage the game, but I think it is important that he trusts his guys, and I think it is important that we are able to play through tough times, because that's inevitable, and I think that ultimately, you're right, it is a lot easier when you're in the middle of an 8-game win streak to do that than when your backs are against the wall a little bit. But he'll figure out what's best for him and what he thinks is best for our team, and I trust that he'll do that.
Final questions, Brett?
From the macro view, when you look at this group, they tell us how close everybody is, and I feel like something we haven't seen a lot. Is it unique? And then just kind of what is making it less so well?
We haven't hung one of those banners, but we've had a lot of close teams and a lot of good teams. This one has, as much camaraderie and togetherness as any I've been around. Certainly at the professional level, and I think they really like each other. I think it's a really good character group. I see a lot of, when guys have a tough game, guys have a tough day, there's just a lot of support within this building for them. And I like that, right? I think it's, we're all going through a little bit of a blip. Some of us individually have had our struggles recently, on the court, and, but there's nothing but belief in each other. And, I think that our best players do a really good job of making sure everybody feels that way and feels appreciated, and that's a good thing.
Thank you, Brett.